Hey, go around here and movie vlog time. This time it's Insidious 2, and boy does it. I don't want to say it sucks. I want to say it's pretty good, but there's some things that make me want to just don't want to take this movie seriously. And and trust me, I know. Okay, before I go on, I must say major spoilers are going to come up here because some of the major problems in this movie need to be addressed, and they are in fact spoilers. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's start with this. I'll start with this. The director James Wan, co-creator of Saw, director of Death Sentence, Dead Silence, Insidious 1, The Conjuring, and now this. I'm a fan of James Wan's work. I did like the first Saw. Call me a fan of Death Sentence. That movie was freaking grisly as all hell. What else? Dead Silence I wasn't really a fan of, even though a couple of my friends are. It just doesn't. That movie didn't really click with me. But I do like the ghost and the story around the villain of that movie. I just felt that the movie presented just didn't meet up to par with that villain standards, or maybe it was just too good of a villain in that little quiet and contained movie. But I digress. Insidious 1 didn't leave too much of an impression on me. The Conjuring, on the other hand, that I think is his best film to date. It's very. I wouldn't say it's very subtle. It's every other exorcism film, but it brings a new life into it. I don't know how to really explain it, but it's either you like it or you hate it. And in this case, I liked it because, frankly, every other ghost movie nowadays is just handheld Blair Witch style. So I take anything with a still shot like this. So Insidious 2 wraps comes around the corner, and frankly, I didn't think that the first one needed a sequel in the first place. But I wouldn't say it's unwarranted, but it's there if you want it. Uh, okay, that's what I think of it anyway. It's there if you want it, and I went into it with a pretty open mind, and I was actually pretty surprised with what they came up with. And what they came up with is very original. I haven't really seen something like this done before, but it's pretty good. It threw me in a loop for a little bit, and I'm like, "What really? What's going on?" But once I pieced all the pieces together, as the movie just once it goes along, it's actually fantastic. And again, I already mentioned this spoilers, but pretty much the twists of this movie sell this movie, and they sell them hard. It the twist of the one of the main twists of the movie is that the main character Josh, who's the dad of the family from the first movie, he's not himself throughout any of it. Insidious 1, he's possessed. Insidious 2, he's possessed and he gets repossession of his body back. But how it presents itself in that loop is pretty substantial stuff. You can't really make this up. It's hard to even explain it because it's so convoluted. It begins to work, and that's not even the movie's biggest flaw. The movie's biggest flaw, in my opinion, is probably the the use of the spirit realm, which they delved into the first bit in first Insidious towards the end, and they expand that directly here. Here, I think it's just an excuse for them to use some imaginative things like more creepy imagery. Nothing out of the ordinary here. But here comes the interesting part. The spirits realm is pretty broken. By that I mean that they pretty much time travel. As my friend put it, I was arguing about this in the car when I was being dropped off and close to my house, but we were arguing about this, and this time travel element throws people into a loop where he said it was pretty much like jumping. He called it jumping the shark. I thought it was justified because the spirit realm, as a spirit, you wouldn't, your physical or soul is not even in the same realm of of um, of existing between human bodies or human souls, bodies, souls, existence, life, but they don't exist in that same plane, so they have room to do that. But my friend proved an actual legitimate point is that they don't explain how this is used. I mean, a simple line or two was thrown out there, and just to make it sound legitimate, broken but legitimate, it never really came into play too much. So that was a concern that personally I was okay with, but that's a legitimate point. Why didn't you don't address this? Um, Another thing is that I'm sorry, but the character of Lorraine, I'm not sure what it is about her. She's a fine actress, sure she is, but the movie kind of brings I wouldn't say, but yeah, the movie brings her back in a ghost as a ghost, and it's pretty how her role's handled is you had to see it in order to believe it because to me it came off like they were trying to play for laughs, and it it didn't seem like that at all, but at the same time it kind of was because a lot of people were snickering when she made her big reveal towards the climax of the film, and she just came back and she has that her face, just a calm, tranquil face after she expelled like a demon from just expelled it from a window. It makes sense if you saw it, but um, anyway, um, the face she was making was so nonchalant. Like she just like told demon to fuck off, and then all of a sudden it was like she's like, and the camera just like followed her around like that. Like I'm kind of doing a bad joke. I can't even properly do it. But it was something really really silly. If how I looked in like that shot, it was me holding my phone like this. That was sort of the same shot, but she was not looking at the camera. She was looking at the other character, which made it even look even more silly. And the movie is full of silly moments like this. Cheese factor to max in this movie. There's two comic relief characters. I forget there's another one, but there's one guy named Tucker. And all I'm thinking is Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. Good movie, but not Insidious too. But aside the point. These two characters are comic relief, and they have some lines in the movie that their role in particular is kind of unjustified, especially when the movie that followed essentially followed directly before it, The Conjuring, which came out like a month ago. That movie didn't have any comic relief at all, but it had a lot of plot to make up for it, and scares too. So there's that. One thing, I think the comic relief was okay, but again, not completely justified because it wanted to be a really scary movie, and especially when you get through a scene where a character almost died, one gets tranquilized and another gets knocked the fuck out, then camera just casually just goes to the side and you see a guy napping and snoring. No music or anything. Just guy snoring, just to make sure he's okay. I'm pretty sure it was just mean to see he was okay, but it came off funny, and a lot of these things came out funny. Like and you see this in the trailer where the the mother figure or the woman in black, really pale makeup, like she looks completely fucked. Um, she goes ah, and she just points the her finger and turns like her face completely black and pitch like, demonic like. That's not as scary as in the movie. It actually is pretty funny because two other characters are present. They look at her. She turns her head, looks at them for a good 2 seconds, enough for them to acknowledge that they're there. Then makes that humongous point gesture. That's silly. Another point where a lot of people in the audience laughed. Another one was I forget. It was pretty out there. Um, oh, I think it was the ending. But I'll get to that in a bit. But as for everything else, I think it's done okay. As far as scares goes, this movie does not fuck around. Um, Much in the vein of The Conjuring, it tries to be very serious. I mean, The Conjuring is pretty much a tough act to follow, especially when you have going around quoting that it's your swan song. True article, look it up on Bloody Disgusting. Bloody Disgusting. Look it up on Bloody Disgusting. They have an article about how he thinks The Conjuring is probably the best horror film he's ever going to make, and technically it is. But as far as franchises go, I think Saw is the most big moneymaker in his filmography, but I digress. Um, the... What the fuck was I talking about? Ah, shit. I don't even remember now. Oh yeah, scares. Yeah, this movie does not really fuck around. Um, a lot of the scares are they're jump scares, which are startling, but they are they some of them do work in context. Like there's a medium who can't enter a room. Who can't enter a room, and he can just sense the presence, and then all of a sudden you see these images of disturbing, like corpse like images, and they're just like jolts, and that works because it reflects the guy's feelings. That's a jump scare I'm willing to let slide. That because it works in context with the character's emotions and the presence of the scene. Others don't. There's a scene where a guy is walking on a doll. A guy is walking. There's a part of the brief movie where it is handheld, so there is stuff like this. Da 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 da. It's not the worst handheld ever, but it's definitely if you have a strong prejudice against it, and what you're gonna do. The rest of the movie is shot like still like this, but take what you can get. But there was a scene in there where the camera's being held around, and the guy steps on a doll, and the doll is like, "Mama," and no sound, no nothing, just that. And it's not even sounds right. It's old, it's decrepit, it's essentially broken, so it gives a little tinge of menace towards it, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that kind of got a big response to the audience. Another response was the actual lady itself and the villain. The villain being a serial killer, which is interesting. Really, really interesting. Fascinating character. In a horror movie, no less. A ghost possession movie, no less. It's having this character becoming a serial killer and being a serial killer is by beyond work. It just works as a progression and evolves, and yeah, it's. I like the serial killer angle. It works in a lot of ways, and especially in the way the Insidious 2 wants to follow it up on, which is being a direct tie-in with Insidious 1, which is a little issue if you want to come into this come into this blind. You need to see Insidious 1 in order to understand what's going on in Insidious 2, because it picks up like right after the first film. So take that as you will. Um, I'm trying to think of things about it. Like, really, the serial killer, the uncovering the serial killer is great. The actual killer himself is disturbing as all hell. The actual twists of having using the use of time travel in the spirit world, going back in time to explain what happened in the past past and essentially opening up itself to like a dozen continuity errors. I'm sure of it. Some people are already conjuring it up on IMDb as we speak. But I think it was alright. As the entire movie goes, it's a decent sequel. Not entirely warranted, but a decent sequel. I should also talk about the ending because I'm just about on my rope here. The ending is really open ended. It's it closes the story on the Lambert family, and it opens itself up to be a little bit more than just a possession movie. It could be maybe opening itself to potentials and spin-offs in the spirit world entirely. So I'm interested to see if they're going to do anything like that, because if they explain the logistics of what goes on in the workings of the spirit world through a spirit medium, which it does end on, I think it was good. I think it would be interesting to follow out. Not as a title of it's not willing to be put in the same title or film title as Insidious as canon, but definitely fodder for a spin-off. And not canon, of course. I might as well go this far and discuss the ending. The ending where everybody laughed or thought it was really, really silly was Lorraine as the spirit medium who got killed in the first movie again came back for this one. Towards the end, she's helping the two comic relief characters do their paranormal investigative job. Anyway, she discovers a potential demon, and the film just looks at, the camera just goes extreme close up, and she goes, "Oh my god!" in the most like frightened face that actor can put on, and the film just cuts, and Insidious just comes up in big fuck all red font and just be like, "Ah." That has also got a laugh in the first time round. This time round, people actually weren't. I think they were expecting it, but I don't know. I think some of them did, but I'm just like, okay. But yeah, decent movie, good sequel that wasn't really called for, but extends the movie for what it's worth, and for what they did with it, I think was pretty creative and inventive, even though it pretty much fucks itself in sort of continuity. But I think it worked. Some things could have been better explained, like the spirit world and inner workings of that, and the time travel elements. I think it was just them reliving memories of other things, not being in the same plane of existence allows them to do that, not essentially go into the past or the future, observing the past and observing the human world, human realm as a form of existence. They can easily manipulate and make their presence known in the human realm, menacing or not. But definitely, it's something worth explaining in another film if they ever decide to go that route. But you never know. I didn't think they would make Insidious 2, so if they're trying to make an Insidious spin-off or Insidious 3, who knows? Anyway, if this is inventive as this unwarranted sequel is, then I think I'll be better off checking it out. I'm pretty big fan of James Wan. I liked his older stuff better, The Conjuring, but being one of my favorite movies, horror movies of 2012, oh, 2012, 2013. What the hell, my year I'm in. But, yeah, that's all I've got. Stay tuned for some new stuff. I'm working on a big review. A big review. And when I say big, I mean big. Like, it's going to piss a lot of people off, and it's going to be. I don't want to say big too many times, but it's going to be massive. I'm even considering breaking it up into like sections, like parts. It's gonna be its own little mini series. This one review, so I'm tackling that as that comes. It's not even done yet. It's a first draft, and I'm already considering that because it's lengthy and in depth. So yeah, expect that coming soon. But in the meantime, I'm trying to find time to do Bible Black. I got some homework to do for school, so if I can get that done, let's say tonight, maybe I have a chance to film something tomorrow. Doubt it, but I'll try. More or less, I'll start giving myself tries to do it next week. I got my Fridays and weekends off, so we'll see. But until then, I'll do movie reviews like this every so often, updates every so often. So I'm the Gorham signing out, and keep an eye out for some new stuff. It might not be reviews, just vlogs like this, but I promise I'll try to make it worth your while. Also, I'll try to be doing commentaries because those are really easy to put out. So keep an eye for that. Okay.